The moment we opened that game, I thought it was just another creepy indie title. You know the ones, you download them on a whim, expecting a few cheap jump scares and some glitchy graphics, but nothing too intense. But almost immediately, I knew this was different. My heart started racing before anything even happened. The loading screen flickered like it was alive, like it was breathing, and then the first message appeared. Not from the game, not from a friend, not even from some random spam account. It was from someone who shouldn't exist. I froze in silence. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, not daring to type back. Every nerve in my body screamed to close the game, but curiosity, that dangerous curiosity, kept me there. The message was short, but it felt like it weighed a ton. I see you. I glanced at my roommate. She was sitting across the room, playing a different game, oblivious. Or maybe she was too scared to notice. But the room felt heavier all of a sudden. Like the air itself had thickened. The clock on the wall ticked in a way that felt off, too loud, too deliberate, like it was counting down to something. Then the game changed. The title screen wasn't just a title anymore. It shifted slightly, almost like it was watching me back. The music warped into something I couldn't even identify. Some low, grinding noise that made my stomach drop. I laughed nervously. Okay, this is kinda cool, I guess, I muttered, but even as I said it, my voice sounded fake to me, shaky. My heart was pounding so fast it felt like it might explode. I tried to click start, but nothing happened. I clicked again, nothing. The cursor moved, but it felt like it had a mind of its own. And then, just as I leaned in closer to the screen, my phone buzzed. Another message, same number, same words, I'm closer than you think. At that moment I realized this was no ordinary game. My hands trembled as I tried to steady myself. Every instinct screamed at me to quit, to throw the computer across the room, to just stop. But you know that feeling, you can't look away when something is this wrong. And what happened next? That's where everything went wrong. So I finally took a deep breath and clicked start. The screen went black for a second, and then a hallway appeared. Not a normal hallway. The walls were cracked, peeling, and covered in what looked like scribbled messages. Some of them were normal, names, dates, but others they were personal, too personal, messages that made my skin crawl. I didn't recognize all of them, but one stuck out. My own username, written in sloppy, almost desperate handwriting. My heart skipped a beat. No way. I whispered. I moved my character forward slowly, because every step felt heavy. The floorboards creaked under me like the house itself was alive, warning me not to go further. I glanced at my roommate, who was still engrossed in her game, but I could feel her eyes on me, even if she didn't say anything. The tension was insane. I joked nervously, maybe it's just a glitch, yeah, totally fine, nothing creepy here. But my voice cracked, betraying me. Then I heard it, a faint whisper, like someone was standing just behind my chair, whispering my name. I spun around, nothing. My heart was racing so fast I thought it would burst out of my chest. I told myself it was just the speakers, just the game's design. But the more I moved forward, the louder the whispers got, twisting into something angry, mocking. Every corridor felt longer than the last, every shadow deeper, like the game itself was feeding off my fear. And the screen started glitching again. Faces appeared in the walls, flickering in and out so fast I could barely register them. Some were distorted, some familiar, but every single one felt angry, accusing, like they knew me. I froze in silence, staring at one face that I swear looked almost human. Almost like it was me, staring back at myself with this twisted grin. I tried to move, but the character wouldn't respond properly. The hallway stretched endlessly. My stomach dropped. Then another message appeared. Not in the game, Not on my phone this time, on the screen itself, over the hallway. Stop lying. You know why I'm here. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I laughed nervously, trying to break the tension. Yeah, okay, this is just a game. Totally normal, totally fine. But my voice betrayed me again, shaky and small. I moved forward, slowly, carefully, every shadow feeling alive. Every creak of the floor sounded like footsteps behind me. And then I heard breathing, not from the game, not from my roommate, real, heavy, deliberate breathing right behind me. My heart froze. I turned, nothing. The room was empty, but the sound didn't stop. And just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, the game glitched violently. The lights in my room flickered, and the screen went black. For a full 10 seconds, and in that darkness, I could swear someone whispered, "You shouldn't be here." What happened next? That's where everything started to spiral out of control. When the screen came back on, everything had changed. The hallway wasn't just long anymore, it was endless. Doors started appearing on either side, each slightly ajar, each emitting whispers or faint screams. I didn't want to open them, but something compelled me. My heart was racing so fast I thought it might explode. I took a deep breath and pushed the first door open. Inside, a bedroom, normal at first glance. But then I noticed the walls. They were covered in screenshots of me at my desk, me laughing, me typing. It was too real. My stomach dropped, and I stumbled back out into the hallway, fumbling for the keyboard, trying to make the character move. My hands were shaking, and that's when it started, the messages, not just on my phone anymore, not just in the game, but everywhere. Pop-ups on my screen, whispers through my headphones, notifications that didn't exist. You can't hide. You lied. I see everything. Each one hit harder than the last, like the game was reading my mind, mocking me. I tried to laugh it off, a nervous, shaky laugh, because what else could I do? But it didn't help. The room grew colder. I felt eyes on me. Even my roommate seemed uneasy now, glancing over, whispering, "Are you sure you're okay?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. I was frozen in silence, every nerve screaming. Then I noticed movement in the corner of the screen. Something, or someone, was following me, just a shadow at first, slipping along the walls, but it started getting closer. Every time I looked directly at it, it vanished, only to reappear just behind me, lingering, watching. My hands clenched the keyboard, my heart was pounding in my ears. I could hear the clock ticking, slower now, like it had its own rhythm, my rhythm, and it was counting down to something. I opened another door, hoping to escape, and found a mirror. And in that mirror it wasn't me, not exactly. It was my face, distorted, eyes wide, smiling in a way I've never smiled, a smile that made my stomach churn. I recoiled. The shadow lunged toward the mirror and the screen cracked. For a second, the entire game froze. My breath caught in my throat. Then my phone buzzed again. The message this time was different. "You invited me in. Now it's too late." My heart sank. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. I realized this wasn't just a game anymore. Someone, or something, was in my room. And it knew me, knew everything. And just when I thought I couldn't possibly get any more terrified, the door behind me slammed shut by itself. I was trapped. What happened next? That's where the real horror began. I was trapped. The door behind me wouldn't budge, and the hallway had changed again. It was no longer just walls and doors. Now there were figures, tall, shadowy silhouettes that didn't move like normal people. They slid, glided, and sometimes disappeared when I looked straight at them, but every time I blinked, they were closer. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it might burst through my chest. I tried to move forward, but the game, or whatever was controlling it, had slowed my character. Every step felt like wading through molasses. I could hear whispers now, louder, more urgent. They weren't just words anymore, they were accusations. You ignored me, you laughed at me, you can't escape. I froze in silence, staring at the nearest figure, trying to figure out if it was real, if it was part of the game, or if my mind had finally broken. Then, a screen popped up in front of me, not on my monitor, on the wall in the game. It was a live feed. Of me, my room, my hands trembling over the keyboard, my face pale. My roommate in the background, looking worried. I couldn't breathe. This was too real. This felt too real. Every instinct screamed at me to quit, to shut everything down, but I couldn't. I had to see what happened next, and that's when the first voice spoke, not a whisper this time, loud. Clear, my name. You can't hide anymore. It wasn't in my headphones. It wasn't in the game. It was in the room. I spun around. My roommate screamed. The shadow figures weren't in the game anymore. They were here in the corner for just a split second before vanishing. I couldn't tell if I was imagining it, but my heart didn't care. I tried to stand up and leave, but my legs wouldn't move. My body felt glued to the chair. Every sound was amplified: the ticking clock, the flicker of the lights, the hum of the computer. And then another message appeared, flashing red on the screen. Stop running. You brought this on yourself. I swallowed hard. My hands shook. Sweat dripped down my face. I knew I had to face whatever was behind this. I opened another door in the game, desperate for escape, and found myself, or something like me, sitting at my desk, staring right at the screen, smiling that same twisted grin from before. My heart dropped so fast I felt dizzy, and then it whispered, "Now you know what it feels like." I wanted to scream, but before I could, the screen went black. Everything went black, and the last thing I heard before total silence was my own breathing, but not mine. What happened next? That's where the nightmare got personal. When the screen came back on, it wasn't the hallway anymore. It was my social media. Every account I had, every post, every comment, every old message was up on the screen, scrolling endlessly, showing things I thought only I knew. And then I realized the game wasn't just creepy for fun. It knew everything. It knew the times I laughed at people online, the messages I sent, the things I thought I deleted. Every little harmless joke I made, every troll I thought was funny, it was all there, flashing in front of me. My stomach sank. My heart was racing. This was cyberbullying, but on a level I couldn't even comprehend. It wasn't just me getting scared. It was someone taking every private thing I ever did online and weaponizing it against me. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely move the mouse. I wanted to close the game. I wanted to shut everything off. But curiosity, that horrible, dangerous curiosity, kept me there. Then the messages started again. Pop-ups, whispers, notifications that didn't exist. You ignored me. You laughed at me. Remember what you did. And each one felt personal. Too personal. I froze in silence, staring at the screen, my pulse hammering. I couldn't tell if it was a hacker, the game itself, or something else entirely, but the fear was real. My room felt like it was closing in, the walls pressing against me, and I couldn't breathe. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, a message appeared on my own social media accounts, one that I hadn't sent. You brought this on yourself. Now everyone will see. My stomach dropped, my hands shook, and my mind raced. What did that even mean? Who could possibly be doing this? My thoughts were interrupted by the sound of laughter, not mine. Not human, but mocking. It echoed in the room, bouncing off the walls. I glanced at my roommate. She looked terrified. I whispered, "It's the game, it's not real, right?" But even as I said it, I didn't believe it. Every shadow, every flicker of the screen, every whisper reminded me that this was more than just a game. It was personal. And then the game started pulling my past conversations into it. Messages I had sent years ago, screenshots, even private posts I had deleted, they were all there, floating in front of me like ghosts. My heart was racing, My hands were shaking, and I couldn't tear my eyes away. And then a final pop-up appeared. Big red letters, "Now it's your turn." My stomach sank. My blood ran cold. And in that instant, I knew this wasn't just cyberbullying. This was revenge. What happened next? That's where I realized the nightmare wasn't just on the screen anymore. It was in my life. By the time I finally looked away from the screen, I was exhausted. My heart was still racing, my hands trembling, and my room felt different. The lights flickered like they hadn't before, and every shadow seemed to stretch a little longer. I laughed nervously, trying to shake it off. Okay, that was insane, I said aloud, but even as I said it, I knew I wasn't lying to anyone but myself. I checked my accounts. Everything looked normal. The posts, the messages, the comments, they were gone. Or at least they looked gone, but the memory of what I had just experienced didn't go anywhere. My heart still felt heavy. My stomach still felt tight, and the game was still there on my desktop, just sitting, waiting. I tried to make sense of it. Was it a hacker, some elaborate prank, or something else entirely? I don't know. But I do know this, it felt real, too real, like someone, or something, had found a way to step out of the digital world and into mine. And I wasn't sure if it had left completely. I laughed again, more nervously this time. Safe to say, we're never opening that game at night again, I said, glancing at my roommate, who gave me a very knowing look. She didn't need to say anything. We both knew we'd never feel completely safe on our computers the same way again. But here's the thing, part of me wants to know what would have happened if I hadn't stopped. Part of me is still curious. And that's probably the scariest part, because curiosity can get you in trouble, and in this case, it almost got me. So, if you ever stumble across a game that feels too real, that seems to know you, maybe take my advice. Step away, don't click start, and whatever you do, don't think you can just watch safely from the sidelines. Sometimes it doesn't just stay on the screen, and with that, the lights flickered one last time. I swear I saw a shadow in the corner, just for a second. But maybe that was me, maybe it's still in there, waiting for the next time someone thinks they're safe.